Welcome back to another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement, where today we sit down and talk with Casey from EbayMiniatureRescues. He has such a fun YouTube channel, and I feel so glad that he took a little bit of time out of his busy day to talk with us. Stick around, we have a great conversation. Casey, thank you so much for joining me here in the Murder Basement. It feels like I've been talking to you for almost an entire year online, and yet I've never put an actual face-to-face conversation happen. So thank you for sitting down with me today.
Yeah, of course, man. Has it really been that long? It's been a long time, huh?
It's been a really long time, and I was trying to remember what my first reach out. I know I reached out to you because you would have no reason to reach out to me. But I think I was watching one of your videos, and I was watching one of like your GW brushes like split at the end. And I was like, dude, if you want to not spend like $30 on a brush, I've got like a really good recommendation for brushes for you.
That sounds.
I think that's where it started.
That sounds right. It's been a while. That's weird. Yeah, I don't even use GW brushes anymore.
Yeah, like I said, it's probably been close to a year.
That's crazy, man.
So you have, how long have you been doing the EbayMiniatureRescue, EbayMiniatureRescue YouTube channel?
Man, I guess it's been about a year and a half now. It'll be probably 2 years around Christmas time, I think, this year. I want to say.
Yeah.
Pretty sure, yeah.
So what made you say, I'm going to do, because you were getting back into the hobby after like a pretty big break. Like, why did you go straight for YouTube? Because it seems like a hard thing to like stack these two on top of each other. An already huge time sink and then this other thing on top.
Right. Yeah, it's a little crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It was I was getting back into it, and I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, right? Like tons of awesome painters, and I was just kind of getting reintroduced to the whole thing, and it was all new, from being back in, the late 90s or whatever, when I stopped painting and playing Warhammer. I was pretty young. So there's about a 20-year gap in there. And basically it was just like I saw some new models. They look cool, so I decided to check that stuff out. I was hitting YouTube and just getting inspired, right? And then I started painting and, trying to work on getting better. And I don't know, just kind of wanted to, like, record my progress, I guess, and, like, how I painted different things and why I painted different things, kind of give a little explanation. And for some reason, people like that, so they jumped on board.
You have a really good premise for the channel, because like that was the other thing that like I am like you. I buy most of my stuff off of eBay, because it's the only way that I can afford to do like GW stuff, and there's just so many like neglected models just sitting out there that you feel bad for, and you're like, I want to give them a new home. But like they have like crappy paint on them, or they aren't painted at all, but like are totally glued together wrong. And so every time you get something, it's kind of a little project. And that's when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's somebody doing it like me. And I remember you talking really early on about where you had started, and how the airbrush had helped you get to a certain point. And I was just like, Casey's got it. I mean, I think at the time you weren't even saying your name on the video. No. Like, I think you were just straight up like there. Yeah. You were totally anonymous for a really long time, and I think that's there's something about that you just like. It was just relaxing. It was like Bob Ross of miniature painting. You're like, he's doing this thing. He's using his necrotite green or whatever, and it's you're just like, I don't know. It was fun to watch.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it was. Like you said, I didn't say my name forever, You know, I just kind of, like, I was doing it because I wanted to do it, and it grew into this thing where it was like, okay, well, now I kind of got to start stepping it up a little bit, right? So introducing the voice, putting myself on the camera, like trying to do the YouTube thing a little bit. And I mean, that helped, you know, it helped kind of push it forward. It's like people knew who I was, so to speak.
Right. Well,
yeah.
There's that real fear this day and age where whoever you are enjoying, if you don't actually know who this person is, if there isn't like the human connection, that person is probably a serial killer. Right. And like when you have that much like peaceful content, it can be a little like, I didn't find it weird because like I'm not really that you know, starfucker sort of personality. So I don't need to have that thing, but it really does help like invest my like emotions into it, which is something that I think you did it right at about the right time to break into a new audience, and I applaud you for doing it the way that you did, instead of just, I don't know, you didn't play the game, the clickbaity thing. You didn't do any of that stuff, and it seemed to really work. And so when I think about what I'm doing for my channel, I'm like, well, if Casey was able to do this, you know, there's no reason to say that this sort of path of like just doing good content and trying to be consistent with the content quality, that you can't, that it won't work for you. You know, I think when you start messing with the formulas, when people start getting weird about it.
Yeah, for sure. Like really, it does come down to like that, being consistent, and then just being true to like what you actually believe, right? Like, right. Yeah, if you start throwing out the clickbait stuff, which, you know, to be honest, I've done a few times. Like, I put up a video that was basically like, I knew it was clickbait, but it was also true at the same time. It was called "Why I Quit Painting," and a lot of people were like, "What the hell, man? Like, you're done? Like, you just got started." And it's like, no. Like, I quit 20 years ago. I'm back now. So, you know, there's a little bit of that.
I'm back.
Yeah, it's almost like for the irony of it more than anything.
Yeah. And I think that little bit of drama, it does go a long way. And as long as you're not doing it every single week, I think, you know, you can get away with it here or there, you know.
Yeah, I try and maintain, like, this is what the video is, and that's what it is in the thumbnail and everything else, like, you know. Yeah,
it's a pretty honest channel. You know, I've come here for this. You will see this.
Yeah, exactly. I have no reason to hide it.
So over your 20-year hiatus, which I didn't realize it was 20 years. I thought it was much shorter than that, but you did other things, and one of them was being a musician, and that's something that I think you and I also have in common, because I have always been a musician for as long back as I can remember at this point now, and I was wondering like how that kind of played into you not getting back into the hobby, if the goal of working on something like that got in the middle of the other part of your life like this.
Yeah, like, it definitely did. Especially once like middle school, high school hit, and I really wasn't painting or doing anything anymore. Yeah, like other things took over, and then starting to learn how to, you know, play a guitar and really getting into that, like, that just took over everything. I mean, like, video games, took a drop kind of thing. Yeah.
I think you are about the same age as me. You got to be like mid-30s, right?
Yeah.
There is that weird thing that like when you have like Zelda 64 sitting on your, you know, at home, you're like, I guess I'm gonna play this instead of literally doing anything else. Like, and playing guitar, like it's like your second language. Once you get into it, it's kind of like hard not to be seduced by something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've known that you're a musician, but we don't actually know much about what your music is. Do you still play in bands? Are you like still? Is that still part of your life? And what is it? What is your focus?
Yeah, like I still practice every week with my band. That's been the same band for I think this year will be our 16th year.
What?
Yeah. It's been a long time.
16 years?
Yeah, same band.
God.
Like, we've gone through some people, some drummers. It's been like the three of us and then a drummer. So
then a drummer.
Yeah, we've gone through like 7.
Drummer's the hardest. But 16 years? That's crazy. I mean, like, I can't even keep things together for more than like a year and a half in a band before like everybody quits on me or I just get fed up with everybody else. And like, I don't know. I'm not a moody artist, but like I also have a very low tolerance for crap.
Right.
And so like if things don't feel like they're working, I'm like, I literally could do anything else and be just as happy.
Yeah.
And so I have tanked a couple bands because I'm like, I am not dealing with you guys right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we've certainly gone through our ups and downs. Like my bass player and then singer, other guitar player, like we've known each other for a really long time anyways. Like we were friends before. And we kind of just grew up in this area where like I live in northern Nevada, right? So there's a lot of desert. So like I used to live in an area where every house, the minimum was 10-acre lots. So huge lots of empty space. So yeah, you know, when people say, yeah, my neighbor's like a mile down the road, it's like, yeah, that's legit. You know, so lugging musical equipment somewhere meant that you're not going very far. So being friends with people also in the middle of nowhere who were interested in the same things that I was, like we pretty much formed a bond because there was nothing else around us. And we played music all the time. You know, that's what we did every day after school, every weekend. You know, we would just stay at the time, our first drummer's house and just hang out and, you know, play music until their parents told us to shut up, and then we'd play video games until dawn, you know? So it's just been one of those things where it's like lifelong kind of friendship. Yeah.
I really do feel bad for the drummer's parents though through all of that stuff because that's like a real deal, and I wish that back then we would have understood that we could have like not played so loud because like we terrorized my drummer's mom, and she loved us all, but I know that she didn't always want us there.
Right. Yeah, that does start to wear on you a little bit, especially when you're starting out. You know, just trying to get the rudimentary stuff down on the drums, and it's just like, please just play it properly, just once. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it like rock? Is it metal? Is it punk? Is it what's the thing?
For the most part, it's like heavy rock that borders on metal. Like we used to do a little bit of screaming here and there as kind of like backups. And then we stopped after a while. It was just kind of didn't feel right, you know. And then we got this drummer who was with us for like 7 years. So it's like the longest drummer that we had. And like he was huge into punk and only played with like a single kick. You know, a lot of dudes play double kick these days. And that really kind of defined what we were in, like almost like thrash with that punk element, but still just kind of hard rock. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that we grew up on, you know, Foo Fighters, Metallica, Smashing Pumpkins, like all this stuff that kind of influenced where we were going. And even now, like, you know, I can still hear influences of certain bands and different ideas. And it, you know, it's morphed through the years, but you know, we've mostly stayed kind of in a lane, I guess, of that like hard rock. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I think that's like a fairly timeless place to be, because you know when you're in that like scream metal punk emo thing, you'd like are so dated like instantly.
Yeah.
And that's always like the difficult thing to deal with. So but that's I mean, that's interesting because I mean, I definitely feel you there. And how do your band members feel about you now doing all this YouTube stuff?
I mean, I there's a weird like non-hateful jealousy, like not in a mean way or anything, but it's like we've been a band for a long time, and like we've had our successes, like we've done some pretty cool things, and played with a lot of really cool musicians. But I mean, we've never had something really blow up for us, And
Sure.
at this point, we're still practicing, we're still playing, we're still doing shows, and we get good opportunities, a lot of times. We know a lot of people, at this point. But
Sure.
I don't know that we're ever going to be in a place that it's going to mean something like, hey, this is my job, this is my full-time job, It might end up being something in there, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen at this point.
That's always the weird, trying to get music to like pay out. It feels like more rare than like playing roulette and it landing on 00 while you have your entire life savings. It feels like such.
Yeah.
And I don't exactly know why. Like, I've had this conversation with artists and musicians, and artists are jealous of musicians because people instantly know whether or not they like your song, and it gets stuck in their head, and they will either listen to it again or they won't. Where a visual artist, a person will look at it, and if it isn't interesting instantly, they forget you exist for forever.
Yeah.
And that I always find to be really difficult for visual artists. But that's why I think this kind of new, almost mixed multimedia artist as of YouTube people and content creators, you are more than just a piece of visual eye candy. You are kind of a whole package at that point. Yeah. And I'm wondering if this is going to be a thing that can help kind of bridge those gaps. Like, do you use your music at all in any of your videos, or have you left that totally separate?
I've left it pretty separate. I've used it in I did a video doing I painted a noise marine, one of the new ones. And this dude Ben, who I think obviously Ben from Schnitzy Basing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he sent me this speaker that he modified, and I used some of my music to play that through the Bluetooth speaker that's on the base where the noise marine is standing on. It's a cool little model.
Right.
I think that's the only time that I put that in, and only it was a super short snippet so that I wouldn't catch my own copyright infringement. Because that's
so you think
the reason.
You think you flag your own stuff?
Oh, I have before, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because we have a distributor that puts everything out, and then they make sure that no one's stealing our stuff. And I can dispute it and say, look, I own this and whatever. But I've never actually just gone for it, because I don't, at this point especially, I don't want anything to happen where they might not believe me, and then I get a strike or something else happen. You know what I mean? So it's not almost worth doing at this point.
That's very fair. I was just going to point out, I was like, well, this is why your band members are jealous of you right now. You have all the exposure, and you're not pumping the band at all,
right.
all the time. But I mean, that's a really valid issue, and something that I'm cognizant of how I have to be careful of things like that, and because I make all the music for my channel, but I'm not gonna say that my shit's completely original. It's lo-fi synth music. It sounds like a million other bands out there. I didn't copy anybody. It's a modular synth, so I literally program the thing to do the thing.
Yeah.
So like, if anybody wants to dispute it, I created the sound, but also like understanding that there's only 12 notes and I'm not trying that hard, like means that like I could probably be stepping on people's toes, and I'm a little nervous about that.
I mean,
just a
I
little
think
bit.
the likelihood, because they're doing like waveform matching, right? Like running it through an algorithm that's matching up certain sections of a song. I think you're probably pretty safe from that. Like I've played acoustic versions of our songs before, and those didn't get flagged. So I mean, it depends. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely depends. It also depends on what you have up, or what anybody has up on something that actually could, check for that.
Right. Well, there's this one guy who, during this whole quarantine that we're going through right now, he's been doing a week, like a daily Moog Fest, where he shows every Moog synthesizer he has.
Yeah.
And like one of the most classic synth things is you press a key and then you twist the cutoff on the filter resonance, and it goes and it does spaceship noises, and it's cool.
Yeah.
I guess the Crystal Method has a bot, and they have like that sound copyrighted if it's a saw wave going through that. It doesn't matter the note, it's the sound, because I guess they used it, and so he got copyright struck like 2 days in a row, and they were like, we're really sorry about that, just try not to do that. He's like, literally, this is what synths are for. This is the cool thing.
I would say that's something he could really fight though.
Oh yeah, and he is, but he definitely went to like change the way he would do it, just so he didn't accidentally end up having his videos taken down. And I didn't realize that was such a thing. And and something like that happened recently to someone in the Brain Trust group that all of us little YouTubers have kind of like got together and like helped motivate and put us together. But I mean, we were talking about that off camera about Naomi from Sword and Steel, where like her channel was like shut down because of a word. And that was really interesting. And there's nothing that prepares you to deal with that. And I felt that she did a pretty graceful job. Like, I think I would be a lot more upset, and she seemed pretty calm about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at that point, if some company comes after you and they're just like, nope, you have to take this down, and you're in trouble now, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like, how do you even react at that point? I mean, I would probably have been pretty upset about that. I mean, reaching out with worded messages. Yeah,
I mean, if things like Spiky Bits can go on, though, I think that we are probably all pretty safe, because he deals with literally all of them. And that just like a crazy fluke, which I don't know. I felt really bad for her on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it got resolved though, which is
now
nice.
Yeah, well, and her channel is really popular now, which is like super exciting for her, because if you're gonna go through like a hell like that, it better be worth it in the end.
Right. Yeah, I'd say it was.
Yeah. So now you've been streaming for almost 2 years. What are your goals for the channel? Where are you taking this? Is it just you're gonna keep on doing minis that you get off of eBay? Are you gonna expand more into commission painting, which I know that you have done, or are you gonna like start repping other companies or doing stuff like that?
I mean, it's interesting because I think about that a lot of where can this grow? Like, what is the growth potential, so to speak, of this idea, right, of rescuing miniatures off of eBay and turning them around? And I see other channels, like Hot Wheels channels. They take really old Hot Wheels and they restore them, right? And I mean, I see some pretty big numbers from that, and they're doing the same exact thing every single time. It's not any different. I mean, they've been doing it consistently for years. And, you know, I kind of feel like that's, if I just maintain what I'm doing, then that's kind of the path that I'm on. And like analytics wise, that's what it says. I never really had a goal going into it. I didn't really, like, all I wanted to do after it was like, okay, I'm going to switch from doing this for myself to like trying to share things and make something of this. Like, I just wanted to maintain an honesty and transparency with whatever I was doing. So like I do try a lot of new things on the channel just to see what would happen. Like, I just randomly did an ASMR video that didn't work out very well, but you know, I just wanted to see what happened, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to focus more specifically on like singular models that I find on eBay or somebody sends to me and flip them, just because I feel like that's the most interesting part of getting a model on eBay. Now, like, commissions can be fun, but they're generally, you know, it's like everybody else can just buy a new miniature and paint that, right? So it doesn't really do anything. I don't feel too great about putting it on there. I mean, I do commissions because people just started asking out of the blue. And, you know, it felt like, okay, well, you know, I've got bills to pay and other stuff. This seems like a cool way to take care of some of that. So, you know, that seemed like a good way to go at the time. And I'm trying to get that to a better place that caters to the channel a little more. I just finished my website, EbayMiniatureRescues.com. Like, finally got it all up, and it's just, it explains the kinds of like things that I want to do. And if you want a commission or if you want to donate something or whatever, then like it does have to fall into a certain category, and that way I can kind of control a little bit of where things are going and just strictly eBay rescues, you know, because it just seems like the fun thing to do.
Sure. Well, I think that that's actually a really smart way to handle like your path, because if it was me, I would be like in the doldrums right now and be like, I have all this great plastic, but I'm doing this one thing. You know, I would feel really confused and lost. So I'm glad that you are being you know, fashion forward on that one. There was something I was going to ask you about.
What you got? Lay it on me.
I don't remember. I totally brain farted. Oh yeah. Okay. So as far as your trajectory goes, have you like contemplated doing any like large models, something that you do in multiple videos or anything like that? Because I love the way that you paint. I think you and me paint very similarly, and so it's really cool when I watch you paint that I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's exactly the way I would have done that too.
Yeah.
But like, it always feels like you're doing like real small things, and the big stuff, like, you know, your Black Coach video, both of them I've watched multiple times. It's because I like the fact that you're working on a bigger model, doing multiple styles and multiple ideas. Have you thought about doing more like maybe multi-step videos or multi-process things, so you can really dig into one model and maybe stretch out the like a book club sort of thing?
Right. Well, so when I started the channel, because it wasn't for anything else, like, I split videos up weekly because I was thinking, okay, well, if I'm gonna put videos up, then I might as well do it weekly. And splitting them up into parts seemed like a good way to save time. And it's like, okay, well, I've hit a stopping point, so that's the video for this week, and I don't have to really worry about it. And then I'd go and finish the model, and then I'd have 2 extra weeks ahead of me. And like, having multi-part videos is really freeing for that kind of thing, because you can spend more time on a model, you know, you can stretch that out. But what I've found with, and especially that Black Coach video, is that it's kind of like a negative towards the growth of the channel. like there's diminishing returns on any kind of multi-part video. So if you start strong with one and it's like, yeah, I'll be back next week with part 2, you get like 50% of the people coming back, you know? So it's hard to say. You know, I've certainly thought about it, because painting one model and filming and editing and outputting per week it's a good amount of work. And so that, I mean, that's mostly why I stick with smaller models too, because, you know, I can paint one small dude in an evening and then have the rest of the week to kind of like do normal things and like live, right?
Right.
Yeah, and like working on those bigger models like takes up a lot of time, and that Black Coach in particular, like I spent a good amount of time on that model.
I believe it. And
yeah,
using all those enamels and stuff. Yeah, like that stuff doesn't dry quickly.
yeah, right. Yeah, and that was for a commission too, which was supposed to be a rescue, but then the dude ended up giving it to his friend. This was like half painted, half put together kind of a thing, and those are the pictures I got. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry. Like, I know I was supposed to send you this one for the channel and everything, and like he already paid me for this commission." And so he's like, "But I got this brand new one," and it's like, "Oh, damn it! Like it doesn't fit, man. What am I supposed to do with that?" Now I got all these hours I'm supposed to sink in, and it's like I can't even put this on my channel, and it's like, yeah. So it can be tough sometimes, like figuring out what the best way to go is, if I should split something up or if I shouldn't. Something I have found useful is doing a handful of smaller models, something I can get done in a night, you know, and have all the footage for everything, get like 2 or 3 weeks worth edited, and that gives me that like 2 or 3 weeks to work on one larger thing. So it's something I'm starting to try and schedule and build into my weekly routine. Obviously right now in the world we're living in, it's a little more difficult. Even like a 5-man squad of something I've talked about in like 4 different videos now, and it's like I haven't gotten to really work on them, so I'm having to put it off for something easier and smaller, you know. And
because
it's a little
jerks
bit of
like me keep on interrupting you. I'm taking up all your valuable hobby time.
No.
I would love to see you do bigger models, because like you know, there's something that we've talked about in chat before, is that you haven't ever done any like you know, competition pieces or anything like that. And while I'm realizing now that I hate painting for competition pieces, and that's something that Joshi and I were talking about, and she hates painting for competition. You work so hard to have somebody crap all over your model, even though they're really good about it. You know, it's just like that the effort into it is really tough. But there's something to be said about pushing yourself to hit a level that you would not normally do. Like,
for sure.
You know, I've just been working on my Resin Beast piece, and I've been doing nothing but these little guys to like straight up tabletop standard. Like I'm like not even trying on them, and I'm making a video on them right now, and I'm like thrilled that like I'm putting like 5 minutes into each model, and I'm not thinking about it. I'm not getting like upset about it, and I'm not going to be mad at myself afterwards. And I think that it's because I did put so much time into one model that these ones are just like the Listerine of, you know, miniatures. I'm just like,
just
you know, the palette cleansing.
Cleanser, yeah.
Right. Are there any models or anything that you always have wanted to paint but haven't got a chance to do yet?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, I've got some stuff here, like that I actually own that I just haven't gotten to. Caradron Overlords, the Age of Sigmar army. Like, since they were announced, you know, I bought a bunch of, and I haven't put any of them together at all since they've come out.
That's such a bummer.
Yeah, and it's like once that YouTube thing got going, it was like if I painted something for myself, and I mean, I still do this, I feel bad because I should be working, right? Like,
Yeah.
it kind of sucks a little bit sometimes. Like, for the most part, you know, I end up finding stuff. I've painted some Caradron Overlords that I found on eBay. But it's like, I went out purposely looking for them and didn't really care what they cost so that I could.
Right. Yeah, I think that, I mean, you might just have to get over the fact that your name is eBay Miniature Rescue and, like, start tackling some of that backlog, because like I see sealed things in the background. Like
almost everything behind me is sealed. Yeah.
Ugh, a giant spider just came down in the middle of the, the murder basement. Oh my god.
That's not surprising at all.
Happen one of these days, dude. This basement in the spring is filled with like the house centipedes, and there'll be lots of legs running across my like hobby bench. I'm like, you sons of bitches.
No thanks, man. Go get some foam. Just start foaming up the walls.
Well, that's the problem. Like, this place is a 114-year-old basement. It's all like it's a stone foundation. Like when it rains, like water gets in here. It's this place sucks, and I love it.
Right. Yeah, you know, like I've wanted a basement my entire life, and they're not even allowed to build them here where I live. Like, legally speaking, like they can't. There's some radiation or something underground, you know, Nevada. So yeah, like if you have one, you have to have a detector for whatever that is anyways. And there are like things you have to sign if you buy a house with a basement. Basically, you're not going to sue someone if you have cancer in 10 years, you know. So
is it like the radon or something like that?
I think
like
it is radon,
it's just
yeah.
like natural gas. Yeah, my parents are pretty sure that I got it down here, and I'm like, great.
I think you can buy a radon detector.
Yeah, I probably should. Yeah. I just don't want to know.
I know, right? You spend all your time
then I have
anyways.
to deal with it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Damage is done.
Right. Yeah, so it's one of those things, like, any basement is a good basement for me. Like, I wouldn't care.
I mean, I need a place to get super messy. I can't do this upstairs. And I used to do Sunday hobby gatherings at my house, and all my friends were super respectful and they got stuff done, and I would like spend 5 hours staring at my model being like, I can't do this the way I want to, so I'm just gonna sit and talk. Right. Help you guys. And like, I was hardly getting anything done on Sundays, and when I would, people would be like, you're working too hard on that one model. I'm like, yeah, it's a commission. I'm working hard on it. And they'd be like, you should move on to something else. I'm like, you guys obviously don't understand what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
So, something that could go in the line of eBay Miniature Rescues, have you thought about branching out into other game systems? Like, you know, especially if it is something that you are going to just turn around and sell on eBay again, like, and not just be the guy who hoards all the plastic like I am. Have you thought about doing any other game systems, or just like a creature caster model or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to doing any kind of model. I mean, it's certainly not like Games Workshop specific, although like I got back into the hobby through Age of Sigmar. So it's just kind of the thing that I have, right? It's the thing that I'm comfortable with, that I'm getting more often than anything else. Like a creature caster model would be great. Like I was at the LVO a few months ago, and like I almost bought a creature caster model, but then that little thing in the back of my head was like, but it's not painted, so I can't use it.
Guy.
Yeah.
This is my Adepticon haul.
Right.
Of which I think most of it's going to stay unpainted for the next year anyway.
Yeah.
Until the next Adepticon, and I got to actually like work.
Well, I was curious about that. I was gonna ask you anyways. Can you not use your creature caster model that you painted for Resin Beast next year?
Sure. Oh, I totally could, but like by next year, I'm going to be a better painter, so why wouldn't I
That's a good
do
point.
another thing?
Yeah, it's a very good point.
And you know, like that was a really interesting thing. I I say that I hate doing competition painting, but I love getting really harsh feedback. I think that people being direct and saying what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, I don't get my feelings hurt like easily. I may get like totally anxiety and nauseous before it happens, but like the second we're in it, it's like that moment of getting up on stage and you get to sing that first note and you're hoping that you're hitting it right because you can see the audience and they will let you know if you're doing a bad job. It's that same sort of like excitement. And I'm kind of addicted to that. Like I want people who are better painters than me to tell me how to refine or the things that I'm doing well, and that way I can understand, kind of where my skill level is at. And I don't know if it's like a narcissism thing or if it is like just genuinely trying to challenge myself. But like I sat through Jason analyzing my model on the Slow Fuse stream the other day, the Creature Caster stream, and it was so nerve-wracking because he was doing it in front of tons of people, and that stuff is just like one-on-one, and people were being so cool in the chat. Like I was like afraid because I know I'm not super high level painter,
right.
But people were being really, really genuinely nice, and I got some great feedback from that, and that was something that I will forever be grateful for, that they took that time, because I worked for the last 3 months on that one model, and I didn't do hardly any other painting because I was dialing this thing in, and that's a long time to give to just one model.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. Like I don't think I've ever put that much time into one model before. Like I don't even know what would happen.
Well, and that's the thing. The law of diminishing return hits at a certain point, and like I think that your models have progressively gotten better and better and better in your videos because you've gotten faster. You're more comfortable with it. You know what you're doing. You as long as you don't put contrast paint over white ink, you're like don't be in the
something. Yeah.
You can see your progress. You can literally go back and jump back 20 videos and see how you are a better painter today. When you're working on one piece, you're like, there's so much stuff here, so I'm going to focus in on this, and then I'm going to focus in on this, and I'm going to focus in on this, and then you look at it and you're like, that's not all one piece. So then you have to like do it all over again to make it all one piece again. Then you have to go and redial in those pieces, and it's not fun until the moment that you're on stage. It's that weird thing. Like it's the months and months of practice before you get to open up before Queens of the Stone Age, something like that. You know,
that's a good way to sum it up. Is like being in a band. Like, I practice like 10 hours plus in a day. With other people, multiple times a week to play a 20-minute set or like with some band, like, and hope people go, that was cool, man. Buy my t-shirt.
yeah. Well, and then you can be like the rocker and just be like, yeah, cool. Just
right.
Cool. You just don't talk to him about it.
There is that weirdness of like, nah, this took me 5 minutes to do. It's no big deal. Like, no, I've been busting my ass to write and learn and do all this stuff and not screw it up right in front of you.
Right. I used to do this band where it was a chiptune band, so I'd program everything on the Game Boy, and I would do Misfit songs, like covers, which are super short. But to program someone else's song on something like that would take forever. And so I used to do a cover of Hybrid Moments, and I opened up for Melt Banana once. And Hybrid Moments is a 43-second long song. It is super short. And the entire audience, it was a packed house, just was like quiet. They're like, what is this guy doing?
Oh no.
One dude in the front who was losing his damn mind.
Yes.
And I was like, I wasted a minute of your guys' life to make that guy's night.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I put so much effort into this one thing, and like all my other songs, they all reacted really well to. That one song, it was just like, they're like, what is he doing? What is he doing?
Yeah, you get a little deep sometimes, like thinking, hey, this is gonna be awesome. People are gonna love this. And yeah, it's that thing where it's like the one guy, and he's so happy, and you're like, all right then, I guess could have just come over to my house then. Saved ourselves a trip.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That is more true than I would like it to be.
I know, right?
Well, we should probably kind of get wrapping this up. I do have a couple things that I like to ask. What are your favorite things about doing the YouTube channel? What makes it worth it to you?
I suppose it's the fact that, like, I don't get to do this hobby with almost anybody else, but you know, here we are talking over Skype, or I just did a podcast today, you know, like talking to people, interacting with people, getting to hang out and just do hobby with other people that I would have never otherwise met, I think is definitely the most enjoyable thing about doing this. Yeah, because, you know, before it was just me in a room with some gray plastic and a handful of paints, you know. Like I got one friend, he plays sometimes and paints sometimes. And that's about it. Yeah.
Dude, I'm totally right there with you, especially with this stay-at-home order that's going on. Like, I'm going stir crazy right now, and I'm thrilled that I get to sit and talk with you and lean on this community a little bit, because like otherwise I don't feel like I have a home anymore, because the hobby part of my life, it hinges on playing with other people, and not having that's very, very difficult.
For sure, yeah.
So what's your least favorite part of this hobby YouTube thing that you have created yourself?
I don't know, it's kind of a tough question. I mean, there's the obvious, some people are dicks, you know.
Do you run into that?
Not as often as I think other people might. Like, I mean, I get shitty comments from time to time, you know, just like people saying stupid crap about something in the video, not even necessarily about the paint job. It's like, all right, man, sorry. Like, I don't know how to help you, but, you know, I think that weirdly, the thing that I'm not so much upset about, but like that I'm annoyed with, is that like I've kind of dedicated myself, and this has become a job for me, which is weird. Sure. This is technically my job now. I don't have any other jobs. But it has simultaneously like taken me away from my family, which isn't technically true, but like it is. Like, I'm in here, you know, recording, or I'm painting, or I'm doing whatever, you know, and my wife and my son are out playing or going on a hike or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like there's a little bit of that, of like, not so much regret, but I wish that it could be planned a little bit better. I don't know how yet to perfect all of this stuff. I don't even know if it's possible, or if a job is just a job no matter what the job is. I mean, I do enjoy it, you know, and like they understand that, you know, it's a passion, and like everybody deserves to go after what they want most in life, and try and do the best they can at it, you know. So it's a little a little both-sided, two-sided on that, you know.
Yeah, I think that is probably the most honest answer I've gotten, and I really appreciate you saying that, because that is one thing that you know, I my wife doesn't need me to be around as much, and we don't have kids or anything, so like we just kind of like do our own thing, and I have to be really aware when I'm like obsessing that, because I disappear, I'm gone, and that's something that it's always hard. I don't think there's a good balance there at all, especially if you
time right now. It's like there's a lot of that, being in close quarters with each other for a long period of time. So yeah, take it when you can get it, I guess.
yeah. Well, it's always hard figuring out how not to get on the other person's nerves, but also be there when they need it and when you can be.
For sure.
Well, right on, Casey. Well, on that note, I should let you get back to your family, and thank you so much for joining me. I honestly want to say I think I've watched all of your videos, and they always make me really happy, because you're very genuine, and all I can hope to be is like a fraction of that, of what you've made. And so I use a lot of your content and the way that you've done it to kind of help motivate me and like keep me on target, and I thank you for that.
Well, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that, and thanks for having me on. This has been fun. Should definitely do it again.
Yeah, man. Oh, I'm sure we will. If this quarantine keeps on going on, this is going to be like the thing that I'm just going to do like all day long.
It's a good idea. Just keep your sanity. Right? Keep your sanity at a nice level. All right. While the spiders attack you.
Whatever you can do. I feel like they're on me now, right? And it's the worst because I know they're not, but I'm like, oh, I know it's a shirt.
It's like you see it on the ceiling and then it's gone. Like 30 seconds later, you're like, no, it's on me. It's somewhere. No. Start feeling itches. And,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, dude. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I guess I'll hit you up online here again soon.
For sure, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, take it easy, man.
You too.
Thank you for watching another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement. I so appreciate your support. If you could go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, leave a comment, literally do anything that you can to help get this channel a little bit more traction. I'd really, really appreciate it. I hate when channels ask every single episode for this. It becomes mundane and monotonous. So I figured I'd just record one of these. That way you only have to hear me do this once, just at the end of every one of my videos. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next video.